This is not a review, but it is a breakdown of why I think Monster Hunter Wilds is amazing, after its first updates, of course, and why it has kept me engaged for so long. To talk briefly on my past with Monster Hunter, it doesn't go back as far as others. I wasn't there for GU, as I hear it's goated, and I wasn't there for anything that predated World, so I guess this is the perfect time to segue into that experience. For the record, I don't have any footage from way back when, so I added in some other footage from some well-known YouTubers. I'll slot the credit in, don't worry. Okay, so Monster Hunter World was my first, and the sheer spectacle of hunting a monster in a living, breathing ecosystem is what pulled me in. I remember my first encounter with the great Jagras, watching him devour a larger creature and trouncing around like he owned the place. It was awesome to watch and immersed me in the environment in a way I had never experienced before. I honestly had never witnessed anything like it, and it swept me away. During my time with World, I mainly used the greatsword for the first few hunts, and then fell in love with the insect glaive for its power. It was with the glaive I spent the rest of my journey, having a great time and ignoring all the other intricate systems. I didn't love having to walk everywhere, and the constant loop of going back to base after a hunt grew old for me. Sometimes you just want to stay out in the field. Also, walking everywhere was nice, but, smell the roses, caress the vigor wasps, but eventually, speed was what I desired most. But aside from that, as time went on, I eventually put the game down, and with every preceding update, I was overwhelmed as my engagement with the other systems of the game were so poor that I didn't know what to do. Every time I got into a fight with a high-ranked monster, I was just dead weight in my group, utilizing the same tactics I had before with gear and skill ill-suited for the encounters. The game had passed me by, and when Iceborne came, I was just dust. Forget about it, so I did. I was young and couldn't appreciate the depth that was on display. Fast forward a little to Monster Hunter Rise, a new beginning, a fresh start, and finally a mount. Let's make it pop, baby. This time around, I had even managed to get some friends on board.
Now we're cooking! Yeah!
It should have been perfect. I started using the charge blade, which truly was a satisfying change-up, and it helped me fall in love with the combat all over again. The mount, as mentioned before, was a godsend, and made exploration more fun and snappy. I thought I was in for the time of my life, but why didn't I get hooked then? Well, in this instance, even though the game was arguably more manageable, I didn't love the fact that it was stuck on my Switch, and especially without voice chat. My buddies and I had to use our phones. Well, I'm so happy that the Switch 2 will have voice chat. Oh wait, you have to pay? So close, Nintendo. So close. Anyways, I felt Rise was a great time, but ultimately, it being on the Switch made it the less desirable system for me to spend my time with at the time. Yes, I know it was released later on other consoles, but for me, it was too late, and I had moved on. Also, I did love the wire bug and all the traversal movesets and monster control abilities it brought to the table. It was a lot of fun.
This is for my fellow hunters!
Then we had the big E3, sorry, I mean the big Game Awards reveal, Monster Hunter Wilds. Oh man, oh boy, here we go, I was ready. My palms were sweaty, my wife was sighing, boom bada bada baby. But seriously, here's my review for Monster Hunter Wilds. Let's start with the story. This is from my mind without additional research, meaning this is what I comprehended. Alright, story time. Gather around, driplings. This story actually had me going. I am easy, okay? I admit it. Rarely do I consider a story objectively bad. If I can understand it, then I'm fine. I think it's for this reason why I personally enjoyed it. It's because I understood it. I will not spoil what's here because I would not say it's super in-depth. So the less you know, the better. But to give you a summary, you are a hunter with some serious chops, and your job is to help balance the ecosystem. Monsters are not evil, but they can get out of hand, and with the authorization of the guild, you as a hunter have the right to thin the herd. It is this premise that fuels the story, and this is the backbone for all happenings happening. From a writer's perspective, it makes sense because when I'm playing a game, I always want a narrative-driven excuse to enact badass violence. When understood that way, the plot and narrative, I believe, can be approached a lot more and understood. Also, the cutscenes with monsters involved are amazing, and for the first time, your hunter has a voice. This one aspect connecting me to my hunter in such a magical way. I am not a fan of silent protagonists. I am not saying it breaks the game at all, but it definitely breaks immersion for me. Like, if Link spoke in Zelda Breath of the Wild or Tears, it would have elevated the game to new heights for me. So this addition into Monster Hunter showed me that Capcom was really trying to do more, maybe even just do something different. Whether or not it landed for everyone is already impossible, but for me and others who appreciate it are over the moon pleased. Like my dude says a badass line during a certain badass story hunt, and it just gave me goosebumps. The story, in my opinion, landed in the ways it needed to, and I guess when talking about story, we really need to address the presentation. This is one gorgeous present to unwrap. The art here really does tell a story about the people and their struggles/joys. There is one moment where you realize why there are crystals everywhere in a village, and once you find out the context, it just hits home and sinks you in. This, mind you, comes from the story, meaning paying attention can aid greatly in the experience. Each location is living with people going about their lives, and if you follow anybody around, you will be surprised. You are also accompanied by your crew, including a mount called a Sacred. Yes, they have mounts, and we will talk more about it later. It's kind of like a lizard bird. Honestly, it looks pretty cool, and the sounds it makes are just brilliant. You also have your Palico, returning as your support companion during fights, and of course your handler who authorizes the hunts you will go on. And again, all of these characters are doing their own thing in the village, and it's not just standing around. You can tell that a big part of the budget went into the routines of your companions, and once you add in other real hunters walking around to it, it really becomes something special. It's pretty incredible. One of the most lived-in worlds I have ever experienced. Now, in practice, this might not be a true open-world game, but everyone, including your guild handler, is doing their own thing when in the village. Since release, they have finally added the much-demanded gathering hub. This place is where all the hunters can meet up for various activities and events while experiencing regional meals and even a concert that grants buffs. It's nothing shy of incredible and is just a sheer spectacle. The game does not pull its punches when trying to establish itself. Not only are the biomes wonderful looking and connected, but they also boast very powerful weather systems that do have an effect on the hunt. This is all backed by a truly extraordinary soundtrack that always delivers. It was so good I was jamming out with it while taking my daughter to the park. All the themes have stuck with me, and I'm so happy they nailed it here. When you're preparing for hunts, you can even customize the music that plays. Quality of life is not being skimmed here at all. So yeah, being a PS5 owner and wearing headphones, I had many late nights just breathing this world in. Even the opening menu screen is fire, allowing you to bask in all of your character customizations. So, we have finally arrived to the gameplay loop, which is straightforward yet complex in so many ways. As I mentioned before, getting into the basic loop of hunting monsters was no hard task. The campaign is fairly easygoing and lets you dance on the grave of the fallen quite easily if you have any experience with melee-based action games. There are those who find this to be a flaw. Yes, I have been to many Reddit forums and have engaged with a few comments on other YouTube videos, and I respect everyone's opinions here. I feel like the game's campaign is designed to be an onboarding for those jumping in for the first time, and it slowly introduces all of its systems to players so they can get comfortable with them before an inevitable ramp up in difficulty for endgame activities. What I mean by all this is that in order to be successful in the endgame, you need to learn how to cook. You need to learn how to study the monsters you seek to craft from. You should learn how to wishlist items and farm resources at the proper level rank, as well as engage with the environment through mining minerals and fishing. Read your map, understand where to find each resource to maximize each hunt. The list goes on, even to the lengths of managing your radial menu and inventory, making hunts even more manageable as well as productive. The mount plays a great role in juggling all these moving parts, making the experience more relaxing and less of a slog. To that point, some people say they loved investigating mucus and poop to track and hunt a monster as experienced in Monster Hunter World. But that has been cut out of here, so you can focus on maximizing your efficiency and engagement with all the other systems. Yes, your mount can take you directly to the monster, but you can now focus on what's in the environment and collect things along the way. This aids in flexibility and maximization. Now, at first, I too was disappointed, but now I understand how everything works, and it fills every hunt with purpose. It is that word alone, purpose, that drives me back to the game. To be honest, after the credits, that's when all these systems I was talking about need to be paid attention to. This could be why some people were turned off, thinking to themselves, where's the challenge? Well, it's after the glorious 20 to 30 hour onboarding campaign. For me, the grind to get stronger does not feel like a slog, but it feels like a joy. Utilizing over 8 weapons with different playstyles allows for the depth to expand quite a great deal. For my first 100 plus hours, I only used the Charge Blade, Greatsword, Insect Glaive, and Sword and Shield. All have felt very satisfying in their own way, and I'm still discovering new techniques with them. I'm not going to lie, the community has helped me expand my playstyle, making each weapon feel just awesome. This game's systems allowed me to hone my skills utilizing the wish list and comprehensive monster field guide, as well as take advantage of the weekly and daily bounties to lock in what I need to do and what I want to do. A new monster has also been added along with incentive to hunt the strongest variants of monsters for special weapons and buildcraft. I'm in love with this game. It's not perfect and nothing is or ever will be, so yeah, I guess as far as games go, this is perfect for me. The combat flows very nicely. They introduced a new system that will highlight wounds accompanied with a well-designed target reticle that allows directional swinging. This has been divisive as positioning is not as imperative if you can put a reticle on it, but this only applies for attacks, meaning you still need to position yourself to not get hit. And believe me, in endgame, monsters still hit like a truck. Please remember that most reviews and opinions that came out were based on rushing through with the mindset of find what's good and find what's bad. This year has been very busy for these people, and I empathize with the agonizing grind of completion. But I digress. In comparison to prior installments, I found this new addition to combat just pure fun. You still need to position yourself, and this could allow for a wider variety of bosses that could exceed the difficulty of bosses from prior installments with more bombastic movesets. Let me come in again and just say I'm not a master or even an expert at this game, but as a casual and a lover of games in general, I keep coming back and plan to keep coming back because this combat and monster design is just fun to get into. Before closing out, we have to talk about the drip. It's so good. I feel like I can dress like a pirate, a samurai, Kratos from God of War, and of course a ninja. That's kind of my default. Not only does each set of armor come with various set bonuses tailored to particular weapon synergies and playstyles, but each piece of armor can be layered for looks alone. This opens the game up for unlimited costume customization, with even more armor sets being added during events. I have had so much fun making the coolest looking character and making him look as badass as possible. It really is ticking the boxes and opening up depth for the core gameplay loop. The only thing I don't like is them charging money to re-tweak my character's physical features. Like, are we for real? Cut it out with that ish. Well, that's all I really wanted to say. There are other complexities about this game, including upgrading your armor and just so much. But the main thing is, I love the game so much, I just had to talk about it. So I think I'm satisfied now. If you do want a little more depth on some onboarding mechanics and things you can do to make the game easier for yourself, check out my beginner guide, and I think that will be very helpful. Some quality of life features like the radio hotkey wheel and the wishlist system changed everything for me. But thanks for watching, and if you're here and want more in the future from other titles, subscribe and like the video. I'm sure I'll make more. Peace out.